How do I set up trade between my things?
I don't know.
Oh, I
You
see.
invest in the economy. That's what you do. All right? That's what happens. All right?
Okay, what do you want? What's up?
Thing that I sort of want to talk to you about is to extend the parasociality discussion, right? So after the panel was over, because I'd never really thought about it before the panel, how do you define like a parasocial relationship according to yourself?
I don't.
Like
I actually
how?
super don't care about anything related to parasocial stuff. I think people freak the fuck out about it way too much. I think that the definition is I think the definition has gotten way, way, way too broad. I think that in the very beginning, there was a legitimate argument about parasociality, where if somebody is using a streamer as a substitute for a real friend and they've deluded themselves into thinking that that streamer is like a friend or whatever, I think you can make arguments there against. But nowadays, people say parasocial is like when you watch a streamer too much. Like it's like the term grooming. It feels like it's gotten so broad such that it's like a meaningless word now.
Yeah. Do you think it's not really, in my opinion, right? It's not really like an issue of black or white. Do you think there might be just like layers to this shit where it's like, okay, if you watch someone, I don't like, and you're a fan of like a celebrity or something, I don't really think that's necessarily an issue, you know? But like if you're like a tier 5 subscriber to a certain streamer, do you think that might be, more of a
No.
parasocial kind of?
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
Supporting somebody
Why?
financially? No. If you spend $1,000 to go to a Taylor Swift concert, is that parasociality?
Um, no, per
Parasocial. I think
se.
the negativity about parasocial is if you start replacing real life relationships with if you think you're like the friend of a streamer. I think that's the negative aspect.
Okay, gotcha. So if you like if you analyze this on a case by case scenario, right? And you got like a scenario where you know somebody who is like replacing their in real life interactions with like, oh my god, I just go onto like this one specific streamer stream and I just donate tier 5 subs all the time. No, sorry, not tier 5 subs. Every month, right? I donate this tier 5 sub and then I interact with this streamer instead, and the streamer's like offering this kind of friendship for money kind of deal, not referring to anybody specific, you know? Do you think that might be more of a parasocial? What is your line for defining what might be parasocial and not parasocial?
Um, Anybody that is like getting obsessed with like a streamer and I'll just repeat what I said before, and is like substituting like real life interactions for I already found that planet. For like hanging out with a streamer, stuff like that. I think that's the really negative thing. But I don't think just like subscribing to somebody or spending money on somebody's merch or whatever, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think or that's like parasocial.
Yeah. So let me describe this, okay? So let's just say level 1. So if the streamer sets up a system, right? If the streamer sets up a system in order to lean into that system and take advantage of like the different levels of parasociality, do you think the streamer might be held like ethically to some degree to lean into that system?
I don't even know what take advantage of like is selling a fan
If they
anything taking
no,
advantage of?
okay, if they set up a system of like let's just say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For example, let's just say hypothetically, the tier 1 is, for example, a chat flare, a colorful username, subscriber role in Discord, participate in viewer call-ins, mercy from the mod team, and the streamer will call you buddy. Like for tier 1, right? So hypothetically, and then up to tier 5, which is like they pay $80 a month, and then like all of these things, right? Let's just say hypothetically that's the case. So for example, a level 1 ethical concern with a level, so there's layers to this shit, right? For example, level 1 would be you're not allowed to donate to your streamer. For example, the streamer would not even set up a sub button, right? The streamer only streams recreationally only. There is no donation button or any way to support the streamer monetarily. This is immensely unlikely, but hypothetically, this is the most quote-unquote ethical thing to do. No streamer would in their right mind do this. So every
Okay, wait,
streamer
can we start?
is,
What is it?
yeah.
Where are we even at? Like, what do we like or not like about parasociality? Because like I said, because everything you're saying is like, what about the difference in pricing between like concert tickets? Like if you want to be really close, if you want to do a VIP meet and greet, or if you want to be a front row seat, or if you want to be like in the nosebleeds, like what's the, like,
Yeah,
well,
so
I don't view that as being like more or less parasocial to price concert tickets that way. It's just, this is just like not, I feel like Parasociality, I think, is like streamers really wanted a thing, or fans wanted a way to get mad at streamers, and I don't think it fucking matters. I don't know what I just don't care at all about it. It's just such a weird, bizarro thing to me. Like, I don't even know what it really means. I don't think anybody even knows what it means. Like, people say, like, if you follow drama, that you're being parasocial. Like, you care about their lives so much, you're parasocial. That was all of reality TV.
No, that's dishonest, right? But like for example, right? You can say like, oh my god. For people use the word parasocial so much to the point where like it doesn't mean anything anymore. But like if we take the word parasocial out of the entire vocabulary and we only analyze the situation based on like a case-by-case scenario, I don't think we would analyze it the same way like if we like took the word out of it. Does that make sense?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what you just said.
Like for example, right? For example, like let's just say we have a coffee shop, right? Let's just say we have a coffee shop.
Okay.
So one coffee shop A has you're not allowed to tip the baristas at a particular coffee shop, right?
Okay.
So for example, you're not really incentivizing a system where you're tipping the baristas. The baristas aren't even allowed to smile at the customer. All right. So the baristas.
Okay. Can we back up normatively? Yeah, what are we arguing for? Because I'm thinking you think this is like bad.
I'm arguing. Well, no. I'm arguing for there are different layers of bad, but I'm arguing for that. Like it's only the higher upper layers where it gets more morally dubious.
Yeah, what is the morally dubious thing, or what's bad?
The more morally dubious thing is where if the streamers or like OnlyFans girls start to establish a system where they knowingly know that their audience mostly comprises of people who are more like vulnerable to like this kind of system, and they lean into it.
Wait, nothing that you just said, like a support group preys on vulnerable people. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Wait. A support group. Fuck. So a support group, right, would be different, right? Because a support group wouldn't the support group have like more of their like best interests at heart? Like they would like have.
Well, but
more
that's
of, like,
like when you say best interest, we're begging the question. Yeah. What do you mean by best interest? What if somebody's best interest is they really want to jerk off to a girl and sometimes DM her?
I feel like it wouldn't be like that analogous, right? Because for a therapeutic group, they have like a more of established system. They have moral ethics. They have more like checking each other, making sure they're not abusing the power, right? But for something like streamers and stuff, they're more unhinged. They're more like independent creators. Like I don't think this is the same comparable system, right?
I don't know. I don't. I'm not saying like
it's sort of talking about like journalism, right?
I'm not saying like I'm not saying the harm. That's what I guess I'm like interested in.
Right. So okay, then let me continue my coffee shop example. Can I do that? Okay. So, right? So let's just say...
Wait, are you just about to list a bunch of things and say there's layers to this? Because I'll agree, but I don't know if that gets us any closer to any...
Yeah, there's layers to this, but I'm just saying the upper layers are more morally dubious.
Yeah, but that was the whole point of my initial question is I don't know if I think any of this is like morally dubious. I don't know if it's just...
Then we might disagree there, right?
Well, sure, but that's probably where we should start rather than at the layers.
Okay. All right. So the third coffee shop, okay? If the third coffee shop has, for example, baristas who will willingly flirt on purpose in order to incentivize the lonely old men to tip more, do you think that might be predatory to some degree?
Not necessarily, no.
Even though the men know that they are flirting on purpose in order to do that?
Most people
why isn't that
most people flirt for tips. So why would it be predatory? What's the bad thing that's happening here? Maybe there's an old guy he likes to go to a cafe or get coffee and he flirts with the waitresses and it makes him happy. He likes that kind of interaction. Where's like the unethical part there?
Wouldn't it be creating some kind of like feedback loop? Where it's like
where he goes to the girls and he enjoys being there and it's fun for him.
Yeah, keeps on doing it again and goes the next day and then the next day and the next day.
Yeah,
right?
You're describing all social interactions. Yeah, we do them over and over again because they make us happy. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to like put a limit on that, right? Like at some point you have to question and go like, okay, at some point there has to be like okay, this is beginning to become a little weird, right?
Is it? Well, what's the limit?
Isn't the limit just like if the baristas like or the coffee shop owners knowingly know that there is this vulnerable population and that happens, right? Like
what do you mean by vulnerable? Like you say vulnerable, like this is like
vulnerable.
A really...
If you know that there is a population where it's like old and lonely and like they're not really,
Yeah, so they go to some place and they like flirt with the baristas or whatever. What's the bad thing happening here?
Um, I would say probably like the bad thing is just that like I would probably say like the population they know would be like lonely and like they would be knowingly exploiting them.
What
But
is
like
the
they know,
exploitation? If everybody's on the up and up, you come here, you buy some coffee, may I flirt with you?
like for example, right? Like how do we separate this, right? Um I don't know. I think it's just that at the end of the day, right? Like it's just even though you can have like all the cards on the table, even if you have like two consenting adults in like a kind of transactional relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um with all the cards on the table, two transactional adults in a relationship like that, I don't I feel like there can still be like exploiting going on in like a contract like that. Like, do you think that might be the case,
I'm
or
just
that
curious.
case can never
I
happen
feel
at
like we
all?
need to establish what is the exploitative behavior. What is the exploitation?
Um, is if the exploiting party knows that the other group, right, is part of a population that is more prone to go get into a feedback loop. Is that sufficient
What is,
definition?
a feedback loop? When I go to a restaurant, they feed
Mm-hmm.
me, and then I eat the food, and then when I'm hungry again, I go back. That's a feedback loop. I feel like we haven't defined what the wrong is yet.
Yeah, I guess that is a good point. Mm, okay, yeah, no, I think that is a good point. Um, do you think there's like no line like anybody can draw at all then at the end of the day?
There probably could be. If a guy was going
Mm.
to a cafe and the lady was saying things like, "Oh, keep coming back and tip me, honey. Like maybe we can get married someday," and she has like no intention of marrying, she's like lying.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think that
Because
would
at that
probably be
point,
bad.
wouldn't at that point be like leading, I guess leading somebody on
Yeah, you're engaged
for
in
something
deception
that,
in order to like milk
yeah.
money from. Now you're exploiting a vulnerable person and you're taking advantage of them and getting money for it and probably hurting them, like actually hurting them, prohibiting them from finding like future, more healthy relationships. And yeah, that would be bad.
Gotcha. I see. Yeah. Like in terms of like, yeah, because at that point, like you are anticipating something that you're definitely not gonna get, right? Because if you're anticipating that you're definitely not going to get, then it's no longer going to be okay. Gotcha. That makes sense.